Welcome everybody to another episode of Gotta Be Legend TV. Today we are reviewing and analyzing the new Halloween release, Halloween 2018, directed by David Gordon Green and starring Jamie Lee Curtis, going back to the movie to where it all first started. What can we say about the new Halloween movie? A direct sequel to the original released back in 1978. A cult classic directed by John Carpenter and produced by the late Deborah Hill, and executive produced by the late Mustafa Akkad. Halloween opened up as an independent film with small financial backing. The movie wasn't well received at first until it received two thumbs up by Robert Ebert. 40 years later, we're making this. This one, right, is also executive produced by Mustafa Akkad's son, right, Malek Akkad. Mustafa's, passed away. The screenplay written by, Danny McBride. A lot of people have been really interested in this movie for a while, and so have I. And as a fan of the franchise, as a fan of Michael Myers, as a fan of Halloween, I'd have to say that I give this movie an 8 out of 10. I'm just gonna give you, the rating up front because I want to go into what I think the movie is, could have been, or should have been, and maybe what might come next. But if you're interested in the rating, 8 out of 10, 80 out of 100, you see it there. So let's get into it. So the movie takes place right after the original, 40 years later, right? So all the previous movies that we've seen don't count, they don't exist, right? This is a whole nother storyline, right, in which Laurie obviously is an individual living with PTSD, right, and she is mostly, I would say, schizophrenic, right, because she's coming up with all these different scenarios, all these movie traps. She's playing these things in her mind, and you do see that happen in the movie, how at the end things are set up, right? So I think this movie is definitely an ode to the original. I think this movie, or at least I feel this movie, was meant to be the finale of that storyline, right? Because the way it starts off, right, you get a brief intro into Michael Myers, right, with the doctors, or at least the investigative journalists, right? And they're just going and trying to dig things, right? And then all this stuff happens. Michael gets out. The doctor that he has now, right, does play a key role. And we feel that this just was something that needed to happen for this particular storyline to end, at least maybe for Laurie or for Michael, right? Because the way the movie ends, you do feel that there could be a follow-up, right? So I think what made the first one so special was the matter that we had this young boy, 6-year-old boy, who was being babysitted by his, teenage sister. Remember that, if I remember correctly, it was called The Babysitter Murders, right? That was supposed to be the original movie title, right? Until it was changed to Halloween. If it's not The Babysitter Murders, it's The Babysitter Murderers, right? But I'm pretty sure it's The Babysitter Murders. Correct me if I'm wrong. So with that being said, I mean, there's definitely a pattern there, right? Because what happens in the original, right? If you haven't seen the original, you definitely need to watch that. People say that you don't need to watch the original to watch the new one. I think you should. I think actually you should watch it directly after. I didn't watch it directly after because I've seen the original so many times and I love it. But I think that it definitely helps because you can definitely see the effect much clearer, right? That this event has had on Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis's character, and how that's trickled down, to two other generations, totaling three generations of Strodes, right? So I think it's definitely something you should do. So with that being said, with the original, right, there's a pattern of babysitter killers, right? Why? Because Judith, right, Michael's sister, was supposed to be babysitting him the night, Halloween night 1963, night he murdered his sister. Now, it leads me to believe that, this wasn't the first time she's babysitted him, right? Because, it just doesn't seem that way, right? If you look at it, you can really believe, a kid is going to do this the first time his sister babysits him. No, I think this is something that's been reoccurring, right? Maybe, she didn't take him out for, trick-or-treating, right? She didn't take him out trick-or-treating. She doesn't, do things with him. Notice how in the movie, Laurie does all these activities, right, with Tommy. Right, with Tommy Wallace. Tommy Doyle, excuse me. So, I'm thinking about somebody else. With Tommy Doyle, right? So, notice that. Notice that the whole movie is surrounded on a sense of community, a sense of responsibility, a sense of caretaking, right? And that's something that Michael wasn't getting when his parents were gone. Maybe, he was getting abused, we don't know. But we definitely do know that he was being neglected, because you could tell just by the fact that, he's outside wandering around the street. He's coming from outside, right? So where's this kid been, right? Because he was across the street, right? So where's he been? And he walks up to the house. So obviously he's being neglected when his parents aren't around. So anything could be happening to this kid. So, he sees this. And, he does that to his sister. So, in the original, what happens, he, kills two of, Laurie's best friends, another individual as well. One of those girls was a babysitter, right? And the other one was a cheerleader. Call her bad influence if you will, whatever you want to call her. Social butterfly, whatever you might, want to label it. But there was definitely another babysitter who followed the pattern of his sister, which is why on the bed you see the tombstone. He did it specifically for her and not, right, for PJ Soldier's character. I can't remember her name right now. But yeah, that's what you see, right? Because Annie's on the bed, not Linda. I'm sorry. Linda's in the closet, right? And Bob, dangling from, the door frame. So there's a pattern there, right? So that's why Michael always had a hard time trying to kill Laurie, because Laurie didn't fit that pattern. She knew people that did, but she didn't fit the pattern of, the irresponsible babysitter, just as his sister was an irresponsible babysitter, which is why he killed her. She wasn't fit to caretake, right? So he may have felt that what was her purpose then if she couldn't. But Laurie could, right? As you saw in the original, right, with Tommy Doyle. So there's always that pattern there, and maybe that's why in the original, right, they always talk about how, they both are meant for each other. They both need each other. It's like they're somehow in love with each other, in a very, very deranged way. It's bizarre, but it kind of makes sense if you think about it, right? Because she fits the pattern of the sister that she, that he didn't have, the sister that he killed, right? Because why did he kill his sister? For her neglect. And what do you notice about Laurie in this movie? After what happens to her 4 years later, right? She's extremely protective of her family. She's cowardly, right? But she's super overprotective, right? Something that Michael perhaps always admired, right? Because you see in the original, she's very protective of the children at all times. So, that's probably the psychology behind that, that Michael, is still attached to her and has, admiration for her and some sort of odd love for her because, of her responsibility and her caretaking ability, right? She's a very nurturing person. But the new one, obviously, she's gung-ho, right? She's, Sarah Connor, you know what I mean? So, it's a whole nother ball game. But you could definitely see that. You could definitely see, how this has affected her and how and why she's become gung-ho. right? And how right she is about everything at the end of the day. You know, there's some, interesting twists, right, with regards to the doctor character, the guy that, pretty much takes up, Dr. Samuel Loomis's place. Well, unfortunately, nobody can ever take his place in the storyline. Donald Pleasance, right, played a phenomenal role on the original. Obviously, the second one from 1981 doesn't, have anything to do with this release, but he was in that one and he did a great job as well. But we have this new doctor as well here, and he's very much responsible for Mike's release, which is very similar to what everybody said about the Dr. Loomis in this case, in the original. Everybody blamed the doctor. Is it because perhaps somehow, some way, Loomis was so convinced of this man's evil, or Michael Myers' evil, that he needed to see it for himself to prove to everyone that he was right? Is that why Michael was able to get away? Because in a sense, that's almost why he got away this time, if you watch the movie. Everybody blamed Loomis, remember that. Everybody blamed him. Sheriff Brackett blamed him. The guy at Smith's Grove, when he gets in the BMW, blamed him. Everybody blamed him. So, in this new one, there's a lot of blame at the doctor for him getting out. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, he takes the blame. He wanted this to happen. So, in a sense, he wanted this to happen to see how things would happen with Laurie, because he always knew Laurie was alive. So it's very interesting to see, where they may go with this now, because, like I said, the way the movie ends, something's gonna happen, of course. Either Michael, somehow, some way returns, or someone that is dramatically affected by these events, just as Laurie was affected, now is affected in a way in which they, behave in such an aggressive way that they become a threat and a danger to those around them. So, it's interesting to see what happens, with the future of this franchise and the direction that they want to go, right? As far as we know, David Gordon Green and Danny McBride won't be here for the next one, if there is a next one, but we'll see where they go with this, right? But I think that the new one, it's definitely an interesting movie. Like I said, it's definitely an ode to the original. It's almost like a continuation from that night, if you really look at it. Maybe what's really supposed to happen directly after Halloween, right? Because if you notice, Michael gets straight into it, as if he just never left Haddonfield, right? And obviously, Laurie's never left Haddonfield. She's probably been living on the same street, locked up in that house for the last 20 years, as far as we know. So, it's definitely sort of a continuation from that night, with just, 40 years later, you could say maybe Laurie's at his level. She definitely has, a mental disorder, right? Trauma. She's definitely traumatized, and Michael, right, absolutely has a mental disorder. So it's a battle of mental disorders and how they counter each other, right? One is more of a paranoid schizophrenic, the other is a psychopath, right? So one doesn't have a conscience, while the other one hears voices and probably makes scenarios, almost to a degree of genius, perhaps you can say. So it's definitely interesting how the two clash, and yeah, it's a good movie. I think you should go see it. Definitely see the original right before watching this one. You don't need to, but it makes more sense when you see the characters in play, when you see everything that's happening. And yeah, I think you guys will enjoy it. Like I said, I give it an 8 out of 10, 80 out of 100. It's 4 out of 5 stars. They did the franchise well. There's a lot of good supporting characters. right? Some obnoxious ones, some very funny ones, right? And some very important ones, right? For example, like Allison, right? Lori's granddaughter. Now, one thing I do want to know, I noticed, if you guys checked out the way the intro started, right? The video started. Nobody's mentioned this yet, but that song is actually played in this scene right here that we're watching right now on the screen on the right side. Michael walking through over to the shed where he grabs that hammer. That song is actually playing at that moment, and nobody's made a comment on that. And I was in the theater and I saw that, and I was like, oh, that's crazy. So I knew that I had to put that here for all of you guys to enjoy. So with that being said, go see it. Go see it. Go with an open mind. Don't expect too much. It's hard not to. Right? I try to go into it with a psychological point of view, and I realized that in this movie, Michael's just going all out. Michael is not following some sort of pattern necessarily, right? He does happen to deal with a babysitter, obviously, because that's what this movie's, is mostly about. It's not really about Halloween, if you really think about it. It's about babysitter murderer. That's what it's really about, if you really think about it. And, there is a dealing of that, but I think that's the only one. The rest is just Michael going all out. And, it's a lot of interesting kills. He's definitely a menace. He's definitely not afraid to hide. Not like in the first one. The first one, he was much more clever. He used the shadows more. He liked to hide and be sneaky, right? Just like he did when he put on the sheet, right? The bed sheet with Bob's, glasses, right? Linda never knew what it was. She never saw it coming. There's some things like that in this one, but not as clever as the original, right? Michael is straight up in this one, right? He's out there. Everybody knows he exists. Everybody knows who he is. See, that's the scene I'm talking about right there on your screen. If you saw that, that was the ghost. So, that spot right there on the left side. So, how I see it is, in this one, everybody knew who he was, so it's not like he needed to hide or anything like that, or be sneaky, anything like that. You don't see him doing much of what what you just saw on the left screen right now. You see, Laurie doing something like that, but you don't see him doing much of that in this one. I think, he is in your face in this one for sure, and he's a badass, man. Mike's definitely human for sure. You see it. You definitely see it. There's parts where you see, when he gets hit, you see his reaction. He's human for sure. But since he has no conscience, he's a psychopath. He has no feeling. He doesn't feel anything. Right? So he has no fear. He has no sense of emotion. No sense of anything. Right? So just know that going in, Mike's not the same Mike as the first night, for sure. He's not the same Mike as the first night. Because you got to look at it like this. The Mike from the first night was sneaky and crafty and everything, kind of what like Laurie is in this movie. And Mike in this movie, I guess that event 40 years ago really, got to him, really made him worse. Because in this one, he makes it seem as though whatever happened 40 years ago, when he got out, it's like, no holds barred. He just went off. So it's like that event really messed him up much more than what he was before. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed the review. Go see the movie, right? Support it. Support Halloween. And on that note, happy Halloween, everybody out there, right? Because it is October too. God bless you all. Thanks for watching. Peace.